Milt Stegall, let's take you there now.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome from CJOB, the voice of your Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Bob Irving.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we honor and pay tribute to one of the great athletes in Canadian Football League history, an athlete we here in Winnipeg and Manitoba have been privileged to watch for the last 13 years, and an athlete who a few weeks ago broke the CFL's all-time touchdown record. And I speak, of course, of Milt Stegall. Allow me to introduce those who will be involved in tonight's celebration. George Reed was scheduled to be here, but had to cancel due to personal reasons. It is, however, a pleasure to welcome the man who shared the CFL's all-time touchdown record with George Reed. He's here with us all the way from Georgia, the CFL's all-time rushing leader, Mike Pringle. Also, please welcome the Premier of Manitoba, Mr. Gary Dewar. We are also pleased to have with us tonight the Mayor of this great city of ours, Mayor Sam Cates. The Commissioner of the Canadian Football League has been good enough to join us tonight. Welcome to Winnipeg, Mark Cohan. And the CEO and President of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, plus their board chair, first Lyle Bauer, the President and CEO, and the Chairman of the board is Ken Hildahl. And we saved the best for last, of course. Football royalty is about to come on the field. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome his wife, Darlene, his son, Chase, his mother, Betty, who will watch him play in Winnipeg for the first time ever, and the CFL's touchdown king, Milt Stegall. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll have to interrupt your applause for just a minute. You'll have a chance again in a few minutes, but I'd like Mike Pringle to start by saying a few words. Mike?
Hello, hello.
Go ahead.
I remember last year at the Grey Cup, we stood over there in the end zone and we talked about if you were coming back or not, and you weren't sure if you were going to come back. And I know you weren't going to come back solely to break a record. You were going back to accomplish some more things that you wanted to do with your career. I'm glad you did come back, and I'm glad that if someone had to break the touchdown record that I held, I'm glad it's you, because you have been such an ambassador of this league, and I hope you continue to get in the end zone and put the touchdown record out of reach so you can wear it for a very, very long time. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mike. Earlier today, ladies and gentlemen, the Premier of Manitoba issued a proclamation declaring today Milt Stegall Day in Manitoba. The province also announced the creation of a Milt Stegall Scholarship that will go annually to a deserving Manitoba high school student as well as a post-secondary education student. And tonight, Milt will join the likes of Jimmy Carter, Desmond Tutu, Jonathan Taves, and many others in receiving one of the highest provincial honors, the Order of the Buffalo Hunt. To make that official presentation, Premier Gary Dewar.
Well, thank you, Bob. Your mother was really impressed that Mother Teresa has also got this award, and it's a real privilege to present to you the Order of the Buffalo Hunt to the greatest touchdown producer ever in the history of the CFL. You're a class guy, you're a great athlete. We're very proud on behalf of all Bomber fans and all CFL fans to give you this highest honor and have a scholarship for a student athlete into the future in your name. I know you'd rather hoist the Grey Cup, and I'm confident you're going to do that, but congratulations. This is the Order of the Manitoba Buffalo Hunt. Thank you on behalf of all your fans.
Thank you, Premier Dewar, and I would call forward the Mayor of the City of Winnipeg with the next presentation, Mayor Sam Cates. Sam?
Thank you, Bob. Milt, we all know your accomplishments on the field, but I think today we're also acknowledging off the field. You're a loving son, you're a dedicated husband, and you're a nurturing father. And I think that's why we hold you in such high esteem. And today I'd like to present you with a key to the city. We also know 140 touchdowns. Now, I know at some points in time, the sad thing about being an athlete is a career is far too short. But there's one thing that we can make sure. For everything you've done for Winnipeg, on the field, off the field, that we remember you forever and ever, because Arena Road will be called Milt Stegall Drive.
Thank you, Mayor Cates. Now, Commissioner Mark Cohan of the CFL, come forward and make a presentation, please.
Milt Stegall Drive, that is pretty cool. What can I say, Milt? You are unbelievable. You've already started to teach your little son how to run some patterns, so I think we're going to sign him up. But on behalf of the league, your fans, we are so lucky to have you in the CFL. You got to keep on playing for us, so right, guys? Your mom and your wife says yes. So on behalf of the league, we have an amazing plaque for you commemorating the moment when you caught your touchdown and passed the record. So congratulations and keep on playing. All right.
Thank you, Commissioner Cohan. I thought the subject of your retirement might come up, Milt. Walk down this way because Blue Bombers CEO and President Lyle Bauer now has a very special presentation to make to Milt.
Well, thank you, Bob and Milt. We've been waiting for this not that long because I'll tell you what, there's a lot of us that are very, very proud of you, and we certainly want to thank Darlene and Chase and Darlene for letting you be with us for so many years, and your mother Betty for growing up such a great son and a great athlete, and what an award this is going to be. First off, Milt, come on over here. We have a very special frame print that was done by Steve Harburn and framed by Chris Walsh, which is a fabulous print with a ball and gloves, and it lists every one of your touchdowns and the games that you played in. And if I could get Ken Hildahl and Milt to come on back over here for just a second, we have to have this for your rec room when you get back to Atlanta. Now, one of these fabulous Milt Stegall chairs. And now the last thing, and you know how a community-owned team is very frugal. You know, the board of directors only lets us do so many things. So we got you a license plate that says Stegall on it. All right? And from every fan that is in attendance, for Chase and Darlene, and something will make you very comfortable. Every fan in attendance tonight contributed to this, and I want to give you the keys to what you're going to see up on that Jumbotron right there, a brand new Dodge Caravan. It's sitting right in the end zone. Congratulations, Milt.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get on with the game here in just a minute, but first let's hear from the man himself, Milt Stegall.
Well, like always, first of all, I got to thank God for all this success. I got to thank my beautiful wife, who a lot of people don't know, but she sacrifices a lot for me to be here. And I got to thank my mother, because she gives up a lot for me to be here. I got to give a special thanks to this Bomber organization. I just remember when Lyle Bauer first got here, and I remember our first conversation, and that's when I was the last time I was a free agent. He was negotiating, and he said I didn't think I was worth that money, but since then, everything has been great. This organization has done a lot for me, for my family, Lyle, everybody on the board, everybody in the front office, all the coaches, all the players I've played with. You know, these are times that I remember for the rest of my life. You know, I've been here 13 years, so I've been here over a third of my life, and it's been great. And definitely last and not least are these fans. I mean, these have been the best fans in the world. You guys have been through a lot, all the coaching changes, all the different players, a lot of losses, some wins, but you guys have been here supporting us, backing us through a lot of things. And I want to thank you for everything you've done for me, all the support. When you see me out, all the autographs I sign, all that stuff. I just love to do it, and I love it because you guys love us. Once again, thank you. And we'll see you in the Grey Cup. Thank you.
special.
Well, after that pregame ceremony, let's play a little football. It is the first meeting of the season between the Argos and the Bombers. Hi again, everybody. Dave Randolph and Jock Climby, Matt Dunnigan and Chris Schultz. The Bombers are riding high atop the East Division. 4 wins, 2 losses, and a tie. Their quarterback is at the top of his game. Well, the Argos have lost 4 in a row, and they're on their 6th quarterback of this season, Schultz.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. First meeting of the season for these 2 football teams, but both of these football teams are coming off the byes. So I expect a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of competitive football. And for the Toronto Argonauts, they got to compete from the opening bell, especially on defense, because all 4 opponents, the last 4, they have scored points on the opening drive. 3 touchdowns and 1 single. If the Argonauts are going to win this game, they got to do it early, and they got to start right from the beginning on defense, opening drive.
Bombers. Let me see. Victory. Charles Roberts.
You bet.
All the talk about Milt Stegall. I think it's going to be Charles Roberts tonight. And I think, 29 catches this season, leads all backs in the Canadian Football League. 116 touches by carrying the football. I think we're going to see Charles Roberts. And why not against the Toronto Argonauts? A bend-don't-break defense. They predominantly have given up large chunks of yards, Jock, on the ground, and I think Charles Roberts is going to be the key to success. Set the tone, dominate that line of scrimmage, and that's the Bombers' key to win.
I think the Bombers secondary has to worry about Rocky Butler. Rocky Butler has showed enough ability, what he did last week, that he can hurt you through the air. And right now, the Bombers secondary is dead last in yards given up. And yes, they've had a lot of injuries at that position, but they've got guys back healthy. They've got to figure out a way to tighten up, because right now, they used to be known for their man-to-man defense. That was their strength. Well, right now, they're going to a whole lot of zone, and they've got whole kinds of holes opening up in the secondary. They need to be better at that position if they have any hopes of going to the Grey Cup this year.
Charles Roberts is chasing a record holder tonight. He's 157 yards away from passing Leo Lewis and becoming the Bombers' all-time leading rusher, which would put him 6th on the CFL's all-time list. That's one chase going on, and Milt Stegall's not finished chasing either. He's got 545 yards receiving this season. He's just over 800 yards shy of passing Alan Pitts for the all-time receiving yards record. So our question tonight in the Boston Pizza poll question is, do you think he's going to get there this season? A simple yes or no will do. Results at the half. We should tell you also that Hillary Downing of Selkirk, you could win a 50-inch Prima Plasma TV if a kickoff is returned for a touchdown in tonight's game, thanks to Safeway's touchdown and win promotion. And if a second kickoff is returned, she wins $1 million to Winnipeg. Here's Glenn and Chris and Danny.
Thank you, David. Tonight's game available on TSN HD and in 5.1 Dolby Digital Surround Sound. TSN, Canada's sports leader in high definition. Well, as you've mentioned, David, it is the 4th consecutive sellout at Canad Inns as the 2 Eastern rivals, Argos and Blue Bombers, meet for the first time. A pleasant night. Doesn't look like we're going to get any showers, although there are a few apparently possible in the forecast. Mike Clements has said that he has deleted the first 7 games of the season. For his Argos, it's now an 11-game campaign as they try to put an end to a 4-game losing streak. On the other side, Doug Barry's team rallied 2 weeks ago in BC for a big win over the Lions. They're 4-2-1, lead the East by 1 over Montreal and by 5 over the Toronto Argonauts.
Interesting game for these 2 football teams. The Argonauts haven't gone through a 4-game losing streak since 2001. Last year they started 2-5, went on to win 5 straight.
Dominique Dorsey takes the opening kickoff from Rob Pakula, and we're underway as Dorsey gets it up to the 35-yard line, and Rocky Butler will make his 2nd consecutive start, trying to be the first Argo quarterback to start and finish 2 straight.
And with Rocky Butler in the backfield, it's going to be Robert Edwards, the newest guy to the Toronto Argonauts. Going to give him that downhill running that we talked about earlier. Try to get some good positive yards on first down. The receiving corps, Tony Miles back in. Very explosive. Good to have him back in the lineup. And up front, these guys got to make some room for Robert Edwards to do his job. That's the one thing up front. Protect the quarterback, make some room for the running back.
Danny Mack, it's the first time the Argos have had their full complement of receivers this year. And here we go, Robert Edwards, his first carry as a Toronto Argonaut, close to 5 against a stingy defense against the run.
Boy, is it ever. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers against the run, giving up just over 100 yards a game. They're going to shore that up. Barrett Simpson has been on fire in his last 3. 23 sacks or tackles in the last 3 games for Barron Simpson, the middle of that linebacking court. The problem for the Bombers is the challenge this year has been their secondary. They haven't had a healthy one all season long and haven't had the same secondary for 2 straight games.
2nd and 5. Butler has time to look a couple of ways and throws a completion to the former Bomber, Arlen Bruce, who took a late hit from Corey Jenkins, so a flag flies after the first down catch near midfield.
Be interesting to see how Rocky Butler, Danny, reacts to this second start. You know, I thought last week he played very well, passed for over 300 yards in a loss to the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Unnecessary roughness, Winnipeg number 45. Dead ball foul, we'll go up 15 yards from the end of the play, first down.
But he seemed pretty relaxed today in warm-up.
Very relaxed. He's getting a lot more comfortable with the offensive scheme, understanding the terminology, and getting to know the players around him. This time he had a lot of time back there, patient, find Arlen Bruce on the sidelines for a nice throw.
There's the late hit from Corey Jenkins. The Argos have not registered an opening possession point in any of their first 7 games this year. So it was a 15-yard catch by Arlen Bruce prior to the 15-yard penalty. And it's a first down at the 40, back to Robert Edwards on the ground, stacked up. It's his 4th game of the year and his 3rd start against the Blue Bombers.
You know, Robert Edwards is going to be interesting to watch throughout this football game as well, behind Rocky Butler. I mean, first you have Rocky Butler, who's been in camp for 3 weeks with the Toronto Argonauts, and Robert Edwards, who 3 days.
Yeah, the running game would be very easy. The complication might be in the passing game as far as who's Robert Edwards going to pick up. And both of these guys are very new to the system. How's that going to affect their protection?
2nd and 7. Butler from the shotgun and overthrows Arlen Bruce in the flat. And the Argos' first possession has come to an end.
A little pressure on him there from the Winnipeg front 4. Tom Canada got up the field, and in the face of Rocky Butler, it just didn't look like he could step into that throw like you'd like to.
And I would think that's what Winnipeg's got to do. With Edwards in the backfield and Rocky Butler being fairly new to the system, let's mess up their combination of who has who. Let's try to bring guys from different areas, try to confuse the offensive lineman and the running back, and put some more pressure on Rocky Butler.
I love that. Lots of blitzes from this defense coming up. We got the young guy in there. Let's see if he can handle it.
Well, those are not Prefontaine numbers. He has battled injury this year, and that's the kind of season it has been. A dead ball off the upright, and still Prefontaine without a field goal over 40 this year. Welcome back to Winnipeg. Milt Stegall night, and the Bombers opening drive of the game. And here's Charles Roberts, who starts the night 157 yards shy of Leo Lewis for the all-time Bomber rushing lead, and the Argos were waiting for him.
Kevin Glenn, most efficient passer and consistent passer in the Canadian Football League, starts at quarterback once again for the Bombers. We talked about Charles Roberts and Will all night long. Milt Stegall night tonight as they honor the great Milt Stegall. 140 touchdowns in his career, 2 on the night that he broke the record, and an offensive line that playing together for the first time this year and have allowed the fewest sacks in the CFL.
Starting lineups are brought to you by Holiday Inn Hotels. 2nd and 9, Kevin Glenn. That's Derek Armstrong wide open, and a first down up at the 46-yard line for Derek Armstrong.
And off to a great start out of the gate. You know, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, although they've been so efficient offensively this year, they've been slow starters when it comes to the first quarter. They just haven't put points on the board. I think they're averaging less than a field goal in the first quarter, and this is a good start for their offense.
Just get Kevin Glenn comfortable, and he came out there and threw a beautiful pass. That's what Kevin was talking about when I talked to him earlier. Just get comfortable with the game plan.
So many great targets, 3 in the top 10 for Kevin Glenn, and he goes right back to Armstrong at a catch at midfield, 6 yards as he works against an Argo defense ranked number 1 against the pass.
They are number 1 against the pass. A nice matchup, especially up front. Jonathan Brown slowly creeping up that list of sacks. He has 7 on the year. Linebacking core led by a rookie in Willie Pyle, leading the team with 35 tackles. And in the secondary, the general who runs everything back there, Orlando Steinauer, gets guys in different spots. He'll do his best to confuse Kevin Glenn tonight.
You mentioned Willie Pyle, 9 tackles against the Saskatchewan Roughriders in the Argos' last game. 2nd and 4, and a quick hitter nearly ball picked off as Kevin Ivan jumped the route.
Looked like Kevin Ivan saw that right away and ran right to the sidelines and jumped right in front of the pass. He had a great opportunity to make the catch. A lot of film study by Kevin Ivan told him where to go as soon as Kevin got the ball.
That's really what it is. It's the ability to study that film and route read, basically. He saw that play develop because he's seen it so many times on the game film. That's why he anticipated it so well. Just didn't hang on.
Pass intended for Charles Roberts, who has been a dangerous receiver for the Bombers. Pakula, short punt as he was looking for the sidelines, and this is out of bounds at the 31, so a flag flies on the play. Welcome back to Canad Inns Stadium. Scoreless first quarter as we join Sean Churchill on the sidelines.
Thank you very much, Chris. This is the fourth straight sellout for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, a first for the franchise. And in 2 weeks' time, the Saskatchewan Roughriders come here for the annual Banjo Bowl. That game, too, is expected to be sold out, so it'll make it 5 straight. Obviously, the Milt Stegall touchdown push brought the fans out early. But this team is really rejuvenated for the first-place club. Big question, though, can they sell out a 6th game on September 29th against Hamilton? Guys?
That's been a big story here and a big story in Regina as far as ticket sales are concerned.
Well, and you heard in the tribute to Milt Stegall before the game, Milt Stegall was presented a brand new vehicle. And the reason for that is because the fans have come out to watch their favorite star. And, you know, it's got to be, there's the new vehicle that Milt will drive home. And you know what? It's got to be close to $500,000 with the extra fans that have come out to watch Milt.
2nd and 4 for the Argonauts. And the long out, Arlen Bruce has the catch, has the first down. And Greg Moss won't let him get any extra yak yards.
I like what Toronto's doing with their offense and Rocky Butler. They're giving them nice, easy throws, nice out routes. Somewhere where he can catch the ball in the shotgun snap, set his feet, and deliver the pass. He's got a nice, strong arm, and he's getting the ball right out there. And Arlen Bruce is finding the spots and making some plays.
Bruce Almighty with a nice little out route there, too. He gets that separation when that's called a speed out, a speed cut. No fake really in it. Just get to the out as quickly as you can.
Just already three catches for Bruce, who's had a quiet start to the year because of injury. Here's Robert Edwards, cut down very quickly. Corey Jenkins moved up from his linebacker spot, supporting Gavin Walls.
This is sort of a comeback, I guess you could say, another comeback for Robert Edwards. Of course, he had to go through a major comeback in his career when he was injured in that Pro Bowl in Hawaii. And of course, that story has been told many times, but he came back from that in 2002 with the Miami Dolphins. Interestingly, he was behind Ricky Williams in Miami that year.
2nd and 9. Rush on. Butler stands in, and Tony Miles has the catch and a first down at the Bomber 45-yard line. And Tony Miles back in the Argo lineup after missing the last 4 is a weapon that Butler can utilize.
Especially having Tony Miles in there. Just his speed, the way he can stretch the defense and find the open area. And Rocky Butler does a good job stepping up in the pocket. There's a lot of guys around him trying to get their hands on him. He steps into the throw and finds Tony Miles downfield. This is great to have Tony Miles back in just for that aspect. He's going to get the ball downfield.
So 1st and 10 for the Argos. Flag down. Arlen Bruce may have been offside, and the Bombers get to Rocky Butler. Tom Canada, Doug Brown, Kyrus Hebert all have a defensive meeting at the quarterback.
Kyrus Hebert comes down from the safety spot. He gets involved. He is up at the top of your screen up here. Tom Canada
Offside.
at the bottom of your screen. They end up coming off the edge and beating the block to the outside of Jude St. John.
It's like what you talked about earlier, is young guy at quarterback. Let's give him some confusing looks up front, try to mess with his offensive lineman a little bit, and give him something that he's not comfortable with.
Danny, we used to like to think on defense, try and get the quarterback to look at the rush, not his receivers.
Exactly. If his eyes are down, he's not looking downfield, not finding the receivers. Exactly.
Loss of 6. 2nd and 16. Rush again. Hebert's got him back inside the Argo 50.
They are loading up and send him pressure like you mentioned, Danny. And this is Kyrie Bear right over here. Look at 1-2 outside of Glenn January, the left tackle. 2 players that he's got to worry about. One cuts back in the stunt. Kyrie Bear stays wide, and he is free to Rocky Butler and take off for Kyrie Bear.
One defensive series, he doubles his quarterback sacks on the year from 2 to 4. Losses of 6 and 8 yards. And Prefontaine on to punt it away. Good kick by the left footer. Albert Johnson lets it hop out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. Still awaiting the game's first points. Good punt by Prefontaine. And the Bombers will scrimmage at their own 19-yard line. And as Glenn mentioned, they have been a slow starting offense this year. High-powered, but haven't seen much of it in the opening quarter. Here's Charles Roberts surrounded and brought down behind the line of scrimmage. Michael Fletcher there, as the Argos are keying on number 1 early.
How powerful has this offense been this year? I mean, look at the key stats offensively. Yards in a game, almost 400. Passing yards. Interceptions thrown, just 3 from Kevin Glenn. I mean, this has been a dominant offense in 2007.
And the guy who deserves most of the credit for that is the man calling the signals. 4 receivers wide side, 2nd and 10, and he throws another strike. And there he is, Milt Stegall on his night with a first down catch.
It has been Kevin Glenn that is responsible for controlling that. And Danny, you know better than anybody, when a quarterback gets in the zone, this kind of throw here to Milt Stegall as he threads the needle becomes pretty automatic for him.
Kevin's definitely he's showing his confidence, squeezing in between 2 guys, and he's going to his number 1 receiver in Milt Stegall. He has complete composure back there. He knows exactly what's happening in this offense. This is his 2nd year in it, and he's reaping the benefits of it right now.
19 yards to Stegall, who did not have a catch last week. And one of the Bombers jumped, and I think it was Milt Stegall, shut out by the Lions, and yet Winnipeg with a big win in BC.
Procedure, Winnipeg number 68. 5-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
Well, it's Milt Knight, so he's not called offside. It's Andrew Green, the right guard.
They always seem to call the offensive lineman for that, not just because it's Milt's night, but those guys don't really get recognized except for those type of things like that. And Andrew Green will probably be the guy who's going to come back and say, hey, it wasn't me, it was someone besides me.
They've been recognized for some good, too, this year. They're pretty good up front.
1st and 15, and there's Roberts, who lined up as a receiver, and the hitch is not going anywhere, and the Argos were focusing on number 1, and that's been evident so far.
Well, you know, I showed you a lot of those numbers, but what do those numbers mean? Well, that first one means they've had balance in the offense. When you look at passing yards, consistency from Kevin Glenn. Yards per pass at 8.7, that's number 1 in the league. That means they have big plays. Interceptions thrown, we just mentioned that. Good decisions from Kevin Glenn. And Danny, you talked about this one just a second ago. The O-line has been recognized for giving up the fewest sacks this season. And that's pretty good.
Those guys are doing a great job keeping Kevin on his feet, letting him see everything that's happening downfield, and he's getting rid of the football.
Loss of 2, 2nd and 17. Glenn just got it away, and it's a big play downfield. Derek Crawford with the catch. Derek Armstrong with the long pass of 47 yards.
I like what Kevin Glenn's doing. He's looking straight downfield. He knows where the one-on-one matchup is, and he goes right after. The ball is right on the money. That's what Kevin has been doing this whole year. He's been doing a lot of things that Coach Barry wants him to do, is move the ball around, find your different receivers.
And that's with Pyle coming off the edge. Willie Pyle for the Toronto Argonauts coming off the edge and putting a hit on Kevin Glenn. What a throw with that kind of pressure from the backside.
3rd catch for Armstrong, a 47-yarder, working against the All-Canadian from 2005 on the corner. Jordan Younger flags down. And again, early movement as Armstrong has another catch that is likely coming back.
You know, Kevin Glenn, we just talked about his decision-making, his ability to stand in there, take a hit like he just did. Kevin Glenn is 3-2 as a starter for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers against Toronto. He wasn't in the game last year when Toronto beat Winnipeg. In those games, Glenn has thrown one
Offside.
interception.
Toronto number 78. It's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
This time Adriano Belli was the man offside.
One interception in 153 passing attempts for Kevin Glenn against the Toronto Argonauts. Danny, he's just making good decisions.
And that's the big thing. The decisions are coming out exactly the way he wants them to. He says the game is slowed down a little bit for him. That happens when you get experience, and he's been around a while, and he's understanding what the quarterback position is about. The game slows down, he's seeing everything, and he's getting the ball out where it needs to be.
Bombers take the penalty. So it's 1st and 5. Roberts. And he gets to the 25. And a couple more. Well, it has been high efficiency, especially in the last 4 weeks.
You know, I love the completion percentage, too. I mean, that's again, the decisions, his accuracy with the football. Now, he's got some 0 interceptions in that time. Now, he's got some weapons in the arsenal. I mean, when you line up there, you got, how about Milt Stegall to throw to?
Yeah, you don't have enough guys to double cover if you're on a defense, so someone's going to get single coverage, and Kevin's finding those guys.
He sure is.
Second and a couple, and Charles Roberts has his best gain for this opening quarter down to the 15-yard line. 10 for Roberts.
Michael Fletcher, the outside linebacker, had stepped up here, and he gets so much penetration that he opens up an alley for Charles Roberts from the backside to run through. Number 2 gets high, and Roberts finds that alley underneath him.
And this is the little wrinkle Toronto's trying to do, is bring those linebackers up to the line of scrimmage and take away some of Charles Roberts' running lanes. He found it that time, and like you said, when he gets a lane, he's going to hit it. He was able to do it on that play.
First down, back to number 1, straight ahead, and a couple of hard-fought yards. Jonathan Brown leading the Argos defense.
Now the problem with that, Danny, defensively, is if I'm taking my linebackers and putting them up in the line of scrimmage, you got Michael Fletcher now and Kevin Iben and Michael O'Shea that you're going to put up in the line just to start Charles Roberts. Boy, you're putting your secondary in a bind because now they have no underneath help, so Rich Stuber's got to leave them in man-to-man more often.
Rich has got to pick his poison. What does he want? He's going against the best offensive team with the pass, so do you want to stop the run or you want to stop the pass? That's where the balance comes into play.
2nd and 7, pressure. Glenn is sacked back at the 20-yard line. And there's Jonathan Brown, who has just taken the CFL sack lead with number 8.
And the West has a game in hand, and he shared it with Brent Johnson for the BC Lions. And he is right here beside Michael O'Shea, who will take up a block on the outside. But this guy, Jonathan Brown, is not talked about enough, and to me, the most underrated defensive lineman in the game, and he is just making it happen. He's been dominant.
So that forces the Bombers into a field goal situation. The man who kicked his first ever pro game-winning field goal last week has missed from 27 yards out. Rob Bakula, hero 2 weeks ago, with just a single here. So just one for the Bombers. We've had Prefontaine off the upright, and now a Bakula miss from 27 yards out. Bombers leading with under 90 seconds remaining, first quarter, and the Argos scrimmage at their own 35. And the ball swung out to Bruce. Is that a live football? Now they're ruling incomplete.
I think it was just forward. You know, second start for Rocky Butler. We mentioned he looked pretty good in the first one, a loss to Saskatchewan, but threw for over 300. Boy, Michael Bishop is here. We'll help him on the sideline, and he wants to play.
Oh, he's chomping at the bit to get out there. He was out at warm-ups, throwing passes all over the place. I think that was kind of letting the coaches know that he's ready. Yeah. And usually most coaches say, okay, the guy said he's ready, now let's wait a week. That'll give him some more time to recover.
2-0 with Michael Bishop, but 0-5 without. So far, these Argos. There's Butler on a roll, and he's got Andre Talbot for a first down up at the 48-yard line. And Rocky Butler took a hit and was looking for a flag.
Well, he did from Cam Hall, and it was, remember, the CFL at this point has a no-step policy, so as Rocky Butler gets outside, does Cam Hall take a step before he lowers the boom on him?
Looked like he took a step to me. I'm not speaking just for the quarterback position. But Cam Hall, even if he took the step, he hit him, and it looked like he hit him right in the face, and that's a no-no area on a quarterback as well.
Yeah, it looked like he got away with one there.
14 for Talbot. Play action and a flag as Butler throws another strike, and it's Tony Miles with the catch. Ball popped loose and now ruling incomplete. Miles goes right to Pinball Clements and said, I caught it. You may want to challenge this. We'll find out what the flag is first. It's all for naught. The Argos for procedure is the preliminary indication from Glenn Johnson.
Procedure, Toronto, no end. That penalty's declined. Second down.
So an alignment issue negates what would have been an interesting video challenge.
Well, now that it's declined, can he go back and challenge it after the fact? And here's another look at it. It's almost the bang-bang where you get hit from the back and have to survive that hit. Does he survive it long enough to have possession of the football? Either way, they won't review it.
Should be the final play, first quarter. Robert Edwards across midfield. And he will come up short of the first down. Final play of the opening 15 minutes. A low-scoring affair in Winnipeg. Stats after 15 minutes brought to you by Rona, the Canadian how-to people.
These stats are very even. That's probably why the score is 1-0. But what I like is that the defense is starting to get involved a little more. You see the quarterback sacks. They're putting pressure on these quarterbacks. When you have that on the defensive side, the score is going to be down. I know, Glenn, you probably enjoy that with the score being down with the defensive side. But from offensive guys, we'd like to see a little more production there.
You know, I am loving that defensive game. You know, the Argos seem to have a good game plan. You mentioned it, Danny, that they're sort of on the line of scrimmage, slowing Charles Roberts down. His average was 3 yards in that first quarter with just 5 carries. So far, they're controlling him.
Yet Kevin Glenn very efficient once again through the air in the opening quarter of play.
Interesting to see if they can control Charles Roberts the entire game.
That's what every team tries to do, and that rarely does happen.
Not many do, yeah.
Third down, Argos, and Prefontaine getting set to kick it to Albert Johnson, but it's a fake. Michael Fletcher has the first down, and look out, rumbling downfield and cut down by the would-be return man Albert Johnson, but the Argos with a big play on special teams.
Designed fake with Michael Fletcher, who is the personal protector or up back in this formation. Here he is right here, and watch him take the direct snap and head around student body to the left side of their formation offensively, and a nice fake in behind him from No Prefontaine.
This is stuff Coach Pinball Clemens enjoys doing. He always has some kind of wrinkle. Haven't really been doing that much of this year. It's a good time to come out and put it to play and get a first down, get your offense back on the field.
Fletcher runs it 26 yards for a first down, and the ball on the Bomber 27. Here's Rocky Butler looking into the end zone. Touchdown! Byron Parker has his second career offensive touchdown. Remember in Montreal a couple of years ago, and now Rocky Butler. So a trick play on third down, and what is Byron Parker doing in the offense?
Well, he's a great athlete all around. We've seen features of him dunking a basketball. We've seen features of him playing defense and taking it to the house on interceptions, a design play. And right now, the Argos pulling out all the stops. This is a desperate football team. Lost 4 in a row. They're pulling all the stops right now.
And he does a great defensive back move, giving a little bit of a shove and going up and getting the ball at the highest point. That's the experience he brings to the receiver spot. Nice little wrinkle again by the Toronto offense.
Well, he knows his way to the end zone last year as a defensive player, his usual position on the corner. He picked off 8 and took 4 back for touchdowns.
Try the convert.
And perhaps a little extra celebration. The Argos took too long to get the point after, so they'll do it from 5 yards further back.
Could we be looking at the first two-way player on a consistent basis in the CFL for some time?
Prefontaine adds the extra point, and the Argos take the lead on a touchdown by Byron Parker. Argos were saying yesterday teams are throwing away from Byron Parker this year after the 4 touchdowns last year, so they're going to get him involved another way. And due for the opening touchdown of the game, here's Albert Johnson on the return up to the 37-yard line. A flag is down.
Let's take a look at that. Touchdown by Byron Parker. Starts out right here, and he's going to exit the backfield like there. Here is Robert Edwards, who's going to be the play-action man as Rocky Butler play actions to Edwards and then throws back to Byron Parker. Comes out of the backfield, lines as a tight end, and is not counted by the defense.
When you're bringing him out of the backfield, you're looking for a mismatch with a linebacker or something like that, but Parker gets downfield and goes against a defensive back and use a little bit of his skills with that left arm, push off a little bit, then get it back up and catch the ball with 2 hands.
That's like Patton and Rommel. You know, Patton read Rommel's book, and that's why he beat him in the desert, right? And see, Byron Parker has read the book of the defensive backfield, right? He knows the book, so he played that, and he just push off, jump up, and what an athletic move to come down with that football.
A little bit of the talent that made him an NCAA dunk champion on display there. Now back to his regular position, and there's a ball batted down.
You know,
Adriano Belli get his hand on that ball, or Michael Fletcher?
Yeah, Michael Fletcher's played well the last few games. I mean, Belli was in there as well, but Fletcher, who was right here in the middle of your screen, he's going to get in there. But this is a desperate football team. I mentioned, you know, they've lost 4 straight. And Mike Clemens mentioned it's a new season, 11-game season. They think if they can win 6, then they're in the playoffs. If they win 8, they may host a game, but they might have to do it on defense.
Well, the defense is doing it on offense. The 2 biggest offensive plays for the Argos made by defensive players. Here's O'Neal Wilson with a catch and a first down up to the 30-yard line. So Wilson with 15.
Nice 2nd and 10 play by the Bombers, bringing O'Neal Wilson underneath Edwards. Edwards kind of goes out, and he makes a big collection of defensive guys gather around him, and O'Neal Wilson comes right underneath, and Kevin Glenn puts a strike right on him. Yeah, those are the type of plays that you're looking for in 2nd and 10. Get enough yards, hit the ball right up, go north and south.
Yeah, and as a defender, when you're facing Terrence Edwards, who's 3rd in the CFL coming in, you pay a little more attention to him after that.
You let Wilson slide underneath.
First down, Bombers. Charles Roberts, 2nd man through, looking at cut back. Look out! First down. And Charles Roberts up to the 49-yard line. 18 for Sir Charles.
Right side of that offensive line is just going to collapse it down for Charles Roberts. And the one thing you know about Charles Roberts, the play may be designed to go one way, but don't count on him going that way. He's picking the hole that he wants.
He has great vision to see the whole field, not just to the side that he's going to. That side was a little clogged up. Saw a lot of white jerseys, put on the brakes, turned right, got the ball upfield.
Mike Clemens was saying yesterday, Roberts, his favorite player in the CFL to watch. One of the reasons he goes where the play's not designed. That was a good indication of it. And now Jill Leslie out of the backfield of the big fullback. Rumbles across midfield.
I was wondering how long you can contain, if you're the Argos, Charles Roberts, who loves to play against this football team. The last 6 games, Charles Roberts alone has averaged 130 yards a game.
He's going to draw a lot of attention. That's why Kevin Glenn's using him a lot of kind of in play action, kind of moving him around, getting him in different spots. But Charles Roberts, like I said, he's going to get his touch. You try to contain him, but not many teams have been able to do that.
So 35 so far, needing 157 to become the all-time leading Bomber rusher. Good pass, and Armstrong another catch with flags flying. And Armstrong's been the favorite receiver so far for Kevin Glenn tonight. And the indication, it's going against the Argos.
Legal block. hands to the face. Toronto number 78. It's a 10-yard penalty. First down.
Nose tackle Adriano Belli, who will celebrate his 30th birthday tomorrow. Not celebrating right now.
Play aggressive. That's one of those. That's the job in there that is one that you don't get a lot of thanks for. And then you can see he goes up into the face of Dominic Picard, and his helmet goes flying.
The Bombers have moved it to the 38. There was a flinch on the left side of that offensive line. Argos were looking for a flag, but no penalty marker. And Charles Roberts close to 5 more.
Now, defensively against Charles Roberts, you know, you touched on it, Danny, and I talked to Jonathan Brown before the game about it. He said that's one thing that they wanted to do this week is not get too far up the field, which is really something that you don't often tell defenders, especially not defensive linemen. You tell them, get up the field as quickly as you can, but Rich Slubers had to tell him this week, stay on the line and corral Roberts.
Keep those lanes closed as much as you can. Try to keep Roberts in that tight little area in between the tackles.
2nd and 5. Again, the give to Roberts. Kevin Iben with the tackle at the 30, and he will be a yard perhaps too short of a first down.
And Jonathan Brown, I asked him about Charles Roberts. He said, look right at me, just like this. With all due respect to all of the other running backs, and there's some good ones in the league this year, Charles Roberts is the best one I have ever played against, game in, game out, year in and year out. He said, as far as running backs go, this is our biggest challenge.
He's very durable. He's there, like you said, game in and game out, and defensive guys know that.
How about this? It's 3rd and over a yard, and the Bombers going for it. The crowd liking the call, and Roberts slept. And I don't think so. Kenny Wheaton moved up and pinned Roberts, who tried to change direction and comes up short. So the 3rd down gamble fizzles. Argos take over on downs. And Crystal of the Blue Lightning has her game cup already for a chance to win instant prizes.
Danny, would you try toe punch or soccer style if you had a chance to
toe punch? I'm old school.
You're old school, toe punch?
Argos take over after that defensive stand. A pump from Rocky Butler looks the other way, and Arlen Bruce was well covered there. David Bush step for step. In fact, Bruce actually was out of bounds.
In a design play, let's go back to that 3rd down gamble, and Michael Fletcher off the edge here. He's the guy who turned the ball over for the Toronto Argonauts because he flashes here, and Charles Roberts has to cut away from that look from the Toronto Argonaut defense, and he goes down because of it.
So 2nd and 10, and Anthony Malbrough went to the bench after that last play, and Rocky Butler dropped again. Jerome Haywood and Tom Canada.
A good defense will rise to the occasion on sudden change. The Argonauts turn the football over, but the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defense responds.
And those guys up front are doing a great job pushing the offensive linemen back. You see Tom Canada, he's pushing back the tackles. Jerome Haywood's pushing back the guards. These guys are finding ways to get back to Rocky Butler and get him out of his comfort zone. Both of those meet at Rocky Butler. That's nice defensive line play.
2nd sack of the year for Haywood, and the 3rd of the night for the Bombers. Quick 2 and out after the turnover on downs. Fontaine presumably to kick this time. Some pressure from Fred Reed. Good kick. Johnson at his 35. Albert Johnson ran into Michael O'Shea, and he's dropped at the 43-yard line. A 50-yard punt. Bombers won 2 of the 3 regular season meetings between these two teams last year. Although on August 25th last year, surprisingly, the last of the 3 regular season meetings, the Argos won here 18-15 to help turn their season around. Of course, these teams met in the Eastern semifinal, and the Argos came from behind in the 4th quarter to win that. Kevin Glenn has Armstrong, and he can't bring it in. Just a half stride too long.
Those are the things that Kevin Glenn wants to find, those one-on-one matchups. There's Armstrong working on Parker. He's been on the field all day. He's been running offense, defense, and on special teams. Take the go route against them and see if you can get it in it. These are the passes they were connecting earlier in the season. Now they're just missing by a little bit.
And Parker that time spent a little bit too long looking at Kevin Glenn and not locking in to Derek Armstrong, and was about a step behind.
2nd and 10. Ivan blitzing, and the pass is complete, and a first down. And again, Armstrong with the reception. And Kevin Glenn banged his hand on a helmet on delivering that football.
The reason he did is because Ivan came off the edge, and Charles Roberts tried to block him, and I think Ivan drove Roberts right into his own quarterback. Here's Ivan right here. Charles Roberts is going to try and pick him up in the backfield. Ivan comes off the edge. Here he comes. Now watch what Roberts is. He gets pushed right back into Glenn, and it hits his elbow and arm and hand area.
That's not a great feeling for a quarterback. I can tell you that. It's might even get a little swelling up in there. Where his grip on the football is going to be important.
Saw that happen to Kerry Joseph a couple of weeks ago against the Argos. Roberts inside, not much there.
You know, there's been lots of talk about Kevin Glenn. And if he gets injured, and remember last year, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers got off to a very good start. In fact, almost an identical start, and lost Kevin Glenn and then lost a few in a row.
That's why I don't think that was a real coincidence. That was a running play, so you can get the feeling back in the hand for the passing downs when they come up, just to see how Kevin's hand's going to react, getting that snap and handing it off. For guys from the sideline saying, let's get the handoff here to Charles Roberts. Now come back 2nd down, see how the arm is for throwing.
Now we'll see how the hand is right here. He has time and has a completion.
Looked pretty good.
Yep.
I give it an A. He put that one right on Milt Stegall. It was a nice throw. So there's really no ill effects from hitting that helmet, and you really won't feel it till tomorrow or the next day. Right now the adrenaline's running so much through him. He's not going to feel too much pain in that hand right now.
And he didn't have a lot of room, did he? I mean, he gets it out there. The release looks good and strong, and good grip on the football. And he threw it low and away. That was the outside corner. That pitch.
He did that one perfect. So I really don't think there's any problem with Kevin Glenn.
Impressive numbers, and like he did against the Lions, he's been very sharp on 2nd down conversions. Fake to Roberts on a roll. Looking downfield for Terrence Edwards. And it's knocked down. Byron Parker was there in coverage.
And the guy who came over to help was Alondo Steinauer. Parker got his hands on it. Steinauer thought he was going to get that one. And I mentioned early on in the game that Kevin Glenn, in his 5 games against the Argos as a Bomber, has only thrown 1 interception. Well, that 1 interception was in Winnipeg, and it was Alondo Steinauer who intercepted. In fact, he took that interception back for a touchdown. Steinauer almost had the tip right there.
Terrence Edwards does a great job now becoming the defensive back, knocking the ball away from Alondo Steinauer, so he has no shot at getting the rebound.
2nd and 10. Let's see if they can convert here. Big pressure, and Glenn just fortunate to get that away with Michael O'Shea on the blitz.
And the Argos didn't look like they disguised that much. It was a matter of, we'll show you what we got, and Kevin, can you get it to your guy? Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're up on the line. There's pile 2, and they're coming.
But it's nice. They got guys coming. Then the guys dropping back. You see Michael Fletcher looking for an under route, a crossing route, and gets right in the passing lane. So Kevin Glenn has nowhere to go with the football.
So the drive stalls at the 42. It would have been a 49-yard field goal, which is just about at the edge of Pakula's range, and Doug Barry has opted to punt here. Pakula looking for the corner in practice. He nailed a few just inside the pylon, but this one is a little too strong and into the end zone. Well, there's Anthony Malbrough, who went to the bench and has aggravated an ankle sprain the last series, so he is back on the sidelines after missing most of the early part of this CFL season. The key veteran in that secondary, and the Bombers were so excited to get him back and to almost have the secondary the way they wanted it at the start of the year. Robert Bean about a week away, and so Sam Young back in for Malbro.
Especially the way they've been getting hit with the passes against them, the yards that's happening in the secondary. Not many interceptions by those guys in the secondary, and the quarterback knows that. He knows he can get the ball out there and throw it. There's going to be some open lanes, and Rocky Butler's taking advantage of that.
7-2, the Pikula punt goes for the single. And a 2nd and 3, Butler, pressure again, steps up and drops the ball. Butler trying to pounce on it, it's still loose. Hot potato, Barron Simpson's got it. And Simpson is finally down inside the 20.
Barron Simpson has been on fire the last 3 games in the middle of that Winnipeg Blue Bomber defense. 23 tackles in 3 games for 51. He has a fumble recovery now.
Big turnover, Bomber ball when we come back. Argos turn it over and also have Jude St. John, the left guard, 13-year veteran, getting attention on the field.
It all starts with good pressure from Doug Brown up front. He's right there. He gets the good pressure. Then Jerome Haywood makes another play to knock it out. He's coming around on the stunt.
What you see right there, Rocky Butler, his eyes kind of dropped down to see where the rush was coming from. And then here, trying to jump on the football, he looks up again. So his eyes just weren't focusing on holding on to the football or looking downfield. And Barron Simpson jumps right on the ball.
Well, Danny, you talked about that the fact that, you know, here's a quarterback now that's maybe looking at the rush quicker than he should be, and it's starting to affect him a little bit in this football game, and a huge turnover for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to see if they can capitalize.
Just the 13th takeaway by the Bomber defense on the year. Jude is up, and looks like he is going to be all right.
I think with Jude St. John, his leg would have to fall off before he would leave the game.
He is that type of player who wants to be in there. These 3 plays that he has to sit out are probably going to kill him enough.
Bombers trail by 5, but they take over on the 15-yard line. Charles Roberts. And Roberts down close to the 5, close to a first down.
Defensive line trying to stay on the line of scrimmage, but all Charles Roberts needs is a tiny little seam to hit. And what a cutback.
And Winnipeg coming on a 2 tight end set. You got big bodies on the smaller linebackers. Now they're creating the holes that Toronto doesn't want Charles Roberts to have, and he's finding them and hitting them.
They mark it at the 7, so it's a gain of 8. Roberts has retaken the lead in the rushing derby once again. And Adriano Belli with the tackle as Roberts gets close to that first down.
It's been an interesting matchup to watch early on in this game. Adriano Belli, who's gone one-on-one with Dominic Picard, and one of the guys that Doug Barry has said has been one of the real bright lights in this football team at center.
He does a great job, not only in his run blocking and pass blocking, but it's the shotgun snaps. He's so consistent where he gives it to Kevin Glenn that Kevin Glenn can just kind of peripherally look out and get the ball there. He knows where it's going to be, so he's keeping his eyes downfield, and that helps the quarterback not to have to find the football. He's able to keep his eyes into the secondary.
3rd and inches as Picard hunkers down against Belli, and Kevin Glenn will push the pile for the first down.
And it looked like just Kevin Glenn's extra weight was enough, because right now Dominic Picard has his hands full with Adriano Belli in the middle of that defense, but they move the chains and have a chance to capitalize on that turnover.
Picard's done a good job at center, replacing Bobby Kahn, who went through a viral infection that led to losing 50 pounds, but he is close to getting his starting job back. But in the meantime, Picard, the Laval product's done a terrific job.
I love what Doug Barry said about Abi Khan coming back too early before he's got all his weight. He said it goes back to force equals mass times acceleration, and he needs more mass before he can come back.
It was neat to see him on the sidelines and talking with him that he's only about 10-15 pounds from his playing weight. I said, well, what's your playing weight? Right around 285, 295. That's nice to be able to move up to 285, 295. A lot of people are trying to drop down from that weight.
Reset the game clock to 2 minutes. Thanks.
2 minutes remaining, as Glenn Johnson asked. He
That
looked
was
up
nice.
and it was done.
Thank you.
Exactly 2 minutes on the clock. First and goal for the Bombers.
It's the Canadian way.
At the Argo 4-yard line, Armstrong's the man in motion. The give is to Roberts, and Charles Roberts walks in, touchdown, Winnipeg.
I love the progression and the play call from the Winnipeg offense to have Derek Armstrong from the wide receiver position come in motion and really make the linebackers for the Argos widen, and that gives Charles Roberts more holes to run in. That's Derek Armstrong coming over to the right of your screen, and look at the left side of that formation.
It's wide open, and that motion that Armstrong's doing is making those guys in the secondary communicate. And sometimes communication doesn't get all the way across, and someone missed the gap, and that left an opening for Charles Roberts.
9th touchdown of the year for Charles Roberts. Ties for the league lead with Joe Smith, the BC, and the Bombers have the lead. Give us their opinions on the opening half of play, and Charles Roberts, who didn't get much done in the first quarter, all of a sudden putting up numbers that make you think 157 isn't out of reach tonight. 13 carries, 60 yards so far. Here's Bashar Livingston with the kickoff return. And Bashar flagged down behind Livingston as he crossed the 45 up to the 49. And a scrap as we take another look at the touchdown run.
There's Armstrong in motion. Look at what Danny McManus was just talking about right there. That's Kenny Wheaton. He's trying to communicate now, what gap do I have on the outside? Look at him saying, do I have to come up here or should I fill inside out? That gap was missed. Charles Roberts took advantage of that and gets in the end zone because of it.
Toronto number 51, 10-yard penalty on the run back. First down.
Holding call against Raymond Fontaine on the kick return.
And as we all know, Charles Roberts only needs a little crack. And if there's a little bit of miscommunication that, do I go inside, do I go outside? That's too late. Charles Roberts already made up his mind. He's hitting that hole. He's finding that blue grass in the end zone, and he's getting in there.
So a minute 44 remaining in this first half. Rocky Butler dusting himself off after the fumble and going back to work. Downfield for Frank Murphy, and a flag flies as Murphy was held up by Sam Young. Murphy, the leading Argo receiver coming into this game, and the only Argo receiver who has played in all 8 Toronto regular season games this year.
Once again, that Winnipeg secondary now is scrambling a little bit.
Pass interference. Winnipeg, number 9. First down.
17-yard penalty again. Young in for Malbrough.
I like the confidence that the Toronto offensive staff has in Rocky Butler. After coming back from a fumble, he steps right in there and throws the ball downfield. They're showing that they have confidence in this guy. Let this be his game. Let him do what he wants to do and go out there and have some fun.
Big pressure again. Tom Canada's got him.
How about Tom Canada? Comes off the edge and just would not be denied.
4th sack of the game for the Bombers. 4th sack of the season for number 44.
Take a look at him, folks, up at the top of your screen. He's on the bunch side of the formation and will not be denied as he goes all the way around the outside.
He goes right by Brian Ramsey, just using his speed, just taking it right around the corner. That's what Tom Canada is definitely known for.
The rookie out of Victoria in just his second start. Ramsey at right tackle. Here's a completion. Obetz Satut with the catch at the 41-yard line. He got back to the line of scrimmage and maybe one more. The Argos will have to punt the football away.
You know, it's a real contrast offensively for these two football teams. Rocky Butler is in week 3 with the Argonauts, and he's got to be looking at a constricted game plan. And whereas Kevin Glenn is looking at progressions, that touchdown with the motion, we haven't seen that from Winnipeg. Derek Armstrong coming across like that. They're looking at progressions in their offense. The Argos are looking at just getting some plays called.
They're just trying to make sure they get aligned right, making sure Rocky feels comfortable. But Kevin and his offense, like you said, they're going to the next step to see what can we do from different formations, and they're adding it on a weekly basis.
Prefontaine to punt. Albert Johnson awaits. Great kick. Backpedaling Johnson at his 15, but finds a crease. Albert Johnson, oh, big tackle there, and a good one by Willie Pyle, ending a 20-yard return. Well, that 20-yard Albert Johnson return of a 54-yard punt has been negated. Adrian Baird called for a hold on the return. So with 45 seconds remaining, the first half, the Bombers backed up inside their 10.
Yeah, that's a devastating penalty on those returns, isn't it? I mean, you lose the return yardage, you lose the 10 yards on the holding. It turns out to be almost a 30-yard or just over a 30-yard penalty against Doug Barry and puts his team offensively in a hole. Now, there's only 45 seconds left, but the Argos can get a quick 2 and out. Does Doug Barry have to give up a safety or maybe punt it away, right?
Yeah, that penalty moves, like you said, their team all the way back, so it's a different thinking now on offense. We're going to try and move the ball all the way downfield or just get a first down and try to get out of here, get into halftime. But Toronto's thinking completely different. Let's get the 2 plays, get them out of here, get the punt, and try to get some points on the board before halftime.
Michael O'Shea late getting on the field and now in a discussion with Glenn Johnson, and he's got blood all over the jersey, and I think he's been told he has to get off.
That was the delay. Michael O'Shea came on late. Once the officials have their arms up, can't come back on the field, and he might have to go and clean up a cut or something.
So Raymond Fontaine, the second-year man. Well, that looks like a middle linebacker, doesn't it?
I've seen that look a couple of times from Mike O'Shea. Little blood, kind of maybe some snot balls coming out of there as well. It's that's Mike O'Shea. He enjoys that part.
He said, "What do you mean I can't go in there and play?" Get his nose jersey. Charles Roberts again squirts through the pile and up to the 14-yard line. Close to 6 more. Roberts with his first 100-yard game of the season.
Not attractive, but Michael O'Shea won't mind, and he'll try and get right back in the football game. The training staff didn't come out to the field, so he doesn't have to stay out for 3 plays. He just had to go get the blood cleaned up, and that's the same in any league at any time now. If you're bleeding on the field, for safety's sake, you've got to get off and get it cleaned up.
But he's not happy about it.
No.
He's still shaking his head. And now the Argos have called the timeout, stopping the clock. 37 seconds to go, trying to force the Bombers into a punt situation. Can the Argos get the ball in scoring position with any time left on the clock?
Well, they need to stop first.
Please put 40 seconds on the game clock.
That's what
40 seconds.
Pinball was riled up about. An extra 3 seconds ran off the clock. And that might be the difference between points on the board for the Argos here before this first half ends.
At least you're just getting an attempt and a try to get points on the board. That 3 seconds is a play, so that's going to definitely help in Toronto when they get the ball back.
The all-academic if Kevin Glenn can convert 2nd and 4. Charles Roberts stopped by Iben. Looks like he'll be a yard short.
Yeah, that's a big yard when you're right there at this point in the football game for Doug Barry. And right now, as it stands, because the punter is 15 yards back, you know, Pakula is standing just inside the field of play.
I think with the way your defense is playing, I know where you're going with it, Glenn. Do I give up the 2 points and go into halftime 9-9, or do I kick it away and let my defense try and stop Toronto? You know, be a uplifting factor. So it'd be interesting to see what Winnipeg does with this situation.
I think you got to kick it away here, don't you?
I would think of kicking it away.
Defense?
Yeah, I would think so.
Well, you know, but you got Bashar Livingston back there too, and Bakula's not had a great game tonight punting the football.
And remember, this year you can't kick it out of bounds. You got to kick it to the returner. So it's gonna. This is a tight spot for Winnipeg. What decision are they going to make?
Livingston awaits at the Argo 45. R.J. Franklin late onto the field.
And they'll have to.
They burned the whole 20 seconds and then took the timeout.
Winnipeg will have to call the timeout because Franklin was late getting on the special teams, and it was likely due to the indecision down there. At some point, they were trying to discuss whether or not they give up the safety, maybe not even put.
Please put 15 seconds on the game clock. 15 seconds.
It's almost sounding like home court advantage with this clock running a little bit faster than normal. That's about the third time they've had to adjust the game clock, but interesting strategy going on right now. Let's see what Winnipeg decides to do here. Because if you punt it away, Bakula's he's going to have to hit a big one and then have great cover team to get down there and tackle Bashar Livingston to keep him out of field goal range when he catches the football.
And Livingston's got to catch it and get forward and get down. Give his team some time to come on the field. He can't do his running around back and forth.
Bakula's kick will be fielded at the 52. Couple of moves, and now Livingston is close to field goal range and gets out 5 seconds on the clock, and they're going to give Noel Prefontaine a shot.
Well, and I know there's lots of people out there, a lot of football fans that hate giving up a safety, but if Noel Prefontaine hits this field goal, and it's a long one, it's gonna be a tough one, or will they take a shot at the end zone?
Well, the Argos are apparently going to try to get one play in. Do they have a play in 5 seconds? A couple of weeks ago, we talked about this when Calgary was down at the goal line. Now they are going to send the field goal unit on.
It would, because that's a tight spot for Toronto. Like, if you run the ball, Winnipeg guys, just hold up your running back and let the 5 seconds run off. This is a safer play. Bring on your field goal team. Give Prefontaine a shot and make it a 52-yarder.
Well, we've talked about how Prefontaine's been a hard luck guy since the injury in week 1. His longest of the year, only 39. He's 0 for 6 outside the 40, and this will be a 51-yard attempt. But historically, this is well within his range. Here we go. Prefontaine puts it up and puts it through. His longest of the year. Prefontaine is back. And the Argos are back in the lead.
Do you give up the safety, or do you punt the ball away?
A 1-point Argo lead at the half, and the debate will continue.
Gotta win this game. Friday night football all day. Getting ready. Argos, Blue Bombers. Blue Bombers win.
Tonight's game is available on TSN HD and at 5.1 Dolby Digital Surround Sound. TSN, Canada's sports leader in high definition. A 1-point Argo lead on that 51-yarder by Prefontaine to end the opening half. Defense stout on both sides of the ball. Second half underway off the foot of Prefontaine. Albert Johnson up across the 35-yard line. Let's take a look at the numbers by the quarterbacks in the opening 30 minutes.
Both quarterbacks they had a great half. Their completion percentage is way up there. Rocky Butler, like Matt Dunnigan talked about, throwing the football with authority. Back there, finding the receivers, just like Kevin Glenn does. Back there, finding them, throwing the ball on the strike. These two guys are very composed back there, having a great time throwing the football.
That's about Kevin Glenn's pace. He's just over 300 yards a game passing, and Rocky Butler doing well. Not quite the same numbers like you mentioned, Danny, but playing well enough to win, like Jock said.
Charles Roberts to start the second half with the carry up close to the 40-yard line. It felt like the Bombers did more on offense than the points would indicate in that opening half.
They picked up in the second quarter. They really got some things going with their offense, got back into their game plan a little bit. Second quarter was a lot better than that first quarter for Winnipeg.
Well, Charles Roberts in particular, 15 yards in quarter one. He ended up with 70 in the first half. So Charles Roberts starting to establish in that offense for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and we'll see if they keep going to him as he tracks down Leo Lewis. He's just over 80 yards away from becoming the Bombers' all-time leader.
2nd and 6. And a quick hit behind the intended receiver, Terrence Edwards, and Glenn would like to have that one back.
Well, if it's in front of him, though, it might be Michael Fletcher's ball.
I think Kevin would love to wait maybe just a half a second just for Fletcher to kind of go by the receiver, and Kevin can put it right in there. It's one of those spots where, do I throw it now? Do I throw it later? And if he throws it just a little bit later, you catch Terrence Edwards right behind Michael Fletcher.
So a 2 and out to start the second half for Winnipeg. And Pakula to kick it away. Line drive. Dominique Dorsey back returning. Dominique Dorsey across midfield and dragged down. A touchdown saving tackle by R.J. Franklin. .33-yard punt return by Dominique Dorsey has set up the Argos their best start position for any drive in this game at the 46 of Winnipeg. And Rocky Butler looking downfield, airing it out deep. And looking for Arlen Bruce, incomplete.
Let's go back to that return that set up this good position for Rocky Butler by Dominic Dorsey, and he's going to get a little help from his friend right here, and that is Byron Parker. And watch how patient Byron Parker is. He lets Greg Bierman take a side, then he just gets him out of the way of the first guy down the field. He just gets Bierman just out of the way for Dominic Dorsey, and he picks up the big yards because of it.
Special teams can help out Toronto offense a lot by giving them these short fields, get them already in field goal range, but have the opportunity to try to go down and try to get the touchdown.
2nd and 10. Butler steps up and overthrows Arlen Bruce, who drew a crowd.
Kyrus Hebert was he stopped about midfield because he was going for the hit or the ball, but someone was going down there.
He had his eyes right on him, ready to make one of those highlight shots. And for a receiver, you never want that ball too high. You don't want to have to stretch out everything. And Butler just cranked it, got it going a little too high, and Kyrus Hebert was ready to let it go.
Okay, he made a 51-yarder at the end of the first half. This would have been from 53. But Prefontaine is on to punt. You playing field position because it's early third quarter, or are you?
I think Pinball's definitely playing field position. Trying to pin Winnipeg back in their corner. Let's get 2 plays and out on defense. Get the ball right back at midfield.
See if Prefontaine can hit the corner. Line drive. Johnson at his 10, and he is nailed. Great downfield coverage. Willie Pyle. First man down once again. There is a penalty marker on the play. Give us a chance to remind you to tune in to TSN Monday morning as a 35-year rivalry is renewed when Canadian juniors take on Russia. Game 1 of the 8-game Super Series. Live coverage from Russia begins at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific. It's also available on TSN broadband at tsn.ca. Yes, the hockey season about to begin.
I wonder if we could ever do like a cheerleaders all-star team.
You bring up an interesting question. That's a very interesting question. That would,
you go along the league, and
I mentioned Super Series, and he immediately goes right to the cheerleaders.
Well, I think they're going to be watching the Super Series. They were over there excited about the Super Series, but
penalty on the Bombers, and they have to start at their 5, and Terrence Edwards with a catch right in front of Chuck Winters.
Well, this is where they started to end the half, and remember, we had the debate going on about Doug Barry's decision to either give up the safety or punt the football away. Now, he elected to punt it in that situation, ended up giving up 3. Now, it was a long field goal by Prefontaine for that to happen. If he doesn't and gives up the safety, he gives them 2. Now, if they don't get the first down here, it's a different time in the game. Likely he gives up the 2 and saves the field position.
You really politicking for you being right and us being wrong.
He's working it, isn't he?
If this ends up in a 1-point game, don't think I won't bring it up again either.
Big pressure. Kevin Glenn nailed as he delivered. And O'Neal Wilson with a catch. near the first down stick.
Wow, big forward progress there.
Kevin Glenn wants a penalty. He really took a lick.
Well, there's been absolute zero tolerance when it comes to hitting the quarterback after he releases the football. And tonight we've seen this happen once on either side now.
Now it might be even out. Now we might start getting the calls the way they needed to be. But that was, again, high up on the quarterback's head. And that's a zero tolerance area.
Big first down, however, and Glenn, that quick hitter again. And another first down. Milt Stegall with the catch, getting them out of that hole with a 14-yard grab.
I loved what Matt Dunnigan said before the game about Milt Stegall and his record, and he was honored before the game and given a whole bunch of gifts by the city and everything. And he said Milt Stegall is pure, and that's why it's a special. He's a pure athlete. He trains, he looks after his body, he takes care of himself, and that's why he's been able to be so good for so long. But I think it's a perfect word, pure, in today's day and age.
Third catch of the game for Milt. And now Roberts to work, and whoa, he took a late hit but kept going, which reminds me of what Pinball Clements said yesterday. The reason Clements likes Roberts is because even at 5'6", he's the biggest, baddest dude on the field. At least that's the attitude he brings.
He's so strong in his lower body. His legs, just when he gets in contact, it's really not the first contact that takes him down. He takes a bunch of guys with him. He's just that type of running back that's very durable. He's going to get you the positive yards.
Over 100 games in the CFL, he's missed only 2.
Took a shot there from Kenny Wheaton, but kept moving forward and ends up with 8, 2nd and 2. This time a fake to Roberts on a roll, and pass incomplete. Stegall looking for a penalty as Kenny Wheaton seemed to impede his progress, and no call.
You know, I think Kenny Wheaton made a little contact there, but it might have been before the throw, and then he recovered and reacted as the ball was arriving. That looked kind of clean. There was a little bit of contact.
Yep.
See, you as a defensive back, former defensive back, you say that was a little contact?
That's just a little bit of contact.
It's a brush.
That
looked like a hook.
Well, that was
just took a lot on that.
That was just like a nice handshake, is what that was. It was just, I'm here.
Bakula off the side of his foot, a flag down, and Rob Bakulas having a tough night.
Oh, is he ever?
Let's find out what the penalty marker's all about. Fans getting on the man who has replaced Troy Westwood. We have to take a break. We'll sort it out when we return. For every sack in tonight's game, Purolator donates the quarterback's weight in food to a local food bank. Purolator, the official courier of the CFL, tackling hunger across Canada. And the Bombers with 4 in the game, a couple for Kyra Seibert. Jonathan Brown has 1 for the Argos to take the league lead. Has sacks in 6 of his 8 games so far.
All day, all night,
baby. JB's been making noise. First down, Argonauts. And Robert Edwards, check that, is pushed back, and a little extra there as Jerome Haywood wants to get involved.
Kyrie Seibert again making an impact in there as well. He was up there to stop the run. You know, this is the free safety who was in the secondary and disrupted in the last series a passing play by Rocky Butler. And this time, Kyrie Seibert right there is gonna step up into the box, and that's basically tackle to tackle, 5 yards each side of the line of scrimmage, and help stop the run with Merritt Simpson.
Just 1 for Edwards, 2nd and 9. Bruce going across the line, flag down, and Butler will take off with it and dive forward. Arlen Bruce jumped the gun. Boy, Winnipeg's had Robert Edwards' number coming into the game, 16 carries, 34 yards against the Bombers, and tonight he really hasn't been able to get untracked either.
And they haven't given him the ball a lot, but he's only been there a few days, so it's got to be tough.
He has a couple plays that he knows and that he can do.
Toronto number 5. Penalties decline. It's 3rd down.
it's gonna take a while for him to get used to how the offensive linemen block and what areas to go to. But I think it really is a great acquisition for Toronto. This is the type of running back Steve Barada, the offense coordinator, wants for this offense. A Joffrey Reynolds type of big back who's going to get you 5-6 yards each carry that he has.
Yet our big offensive lineman back in the studio said, you know, Dorsey looked good last week. You'll let him run the ball. See if Dorsey is deployed that way in the second half. He's had a big return.
And I don't disagree with that thought, in that Dorsey's been there longer.
Fontaine with a good kick. Albert Johnson. And Johnson down quickly. Great downfield cover again. This time it was John Williams after a 46-yard kick. Midway through the third quarter, no points in the second half so far, so the Argos continue to enjoy a 10-9 lead. Trying to snap a 4-game losing streak, while the Bombers at 4-2-1, trying to enhance their lead in the CFL East. There's Roberts adding to his total, but not much there off the left side. Maybe a yard. Willie Pyle, another tackle. Jonathan Brown has made his presence felt again tonight.
He has, and he told me before the game that his inspiration in college was one of the great all-times, the late great Reggie White. And he said that Reggie White used to come back to college and help to mentor some of the young rush ends, and he said he learned a ton from him, and he's been his inspiration ever since.
2nd and 9. Glenn double clutch to the pass. Falls incomplete, intended for Stegall. Close to what would have been a first down, but another 2 and out. Danny, you mentioned to us during the break, this 19 points for Winnipeg in the third quarter. This is a slow team in each the first and third quarters out of the break.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it would be from, if it's too much adjustments at halftime or not really get into the game plan that you were doing in the first half. By the fourth quarter, they get things going. It could be that they run Charles Roberts so much that by the fourth quarter, the other team is so worn out that they just start piling up yards and start getting touchdowns at that point.
See what Pakula does here. He has struggled tonight. This is better. And the fans respond. Bashar Livingston, one move, a broken tackle, and now a flag as he's finally taken down after a 49-yard kick. Holding call against Raymond Fontaine. Takes the ball back to the Argo 34. Rocky Butler at the controls. After 5 years as Saskatchewan Roughrider, but said yesterday he never got a chance to play here in Winnipeg. Here's Edwards kicking it outside. There's his best run so far tonight, close to 8 for Robert Edwards.
Talked to Robert and talked to Terrence before the game, and Robert Edwards was, you know, Terrence, his brother, was saying to me that in Montreal, he didn't really get an opportunity this year. His runs were 99% of the time in short yardage. And that's why his average was so much lower. And Terrence was saying, you know, he never got the ball in their running set. It was almost predetermined. Now, Jarrett Payton has done a nice job in taking that job away, but he didn't get the same opportunity.
Here's where Edwards will be of such value. 2nd and short, head down, but up against a stout front 4, and that's a pretty good battle, and he's going to get tossed back. Let's see where they mark forward progress. And Terrence had all kinds of nice things to say about his brother until we asked about who was the better basketball player, and then we found out really what he thought of his big brother.
Yeah, Danny, I went through the skills. I said, so Terrence, who's the best shooter? On me. Like automatically, when you go to the, you know, when you put the ball on the floor and you're taking it to the hoop, who can drive better? He said, oh, that's hands down me. Who jumps high? Well, that's me. I said, well, what does Robert have? I mean, come on, he's got something. And he said, yeah, he used to muscle me down underneath the hoop and then turn around and lay it up.
Got a late flag thrown while the Argos were in the huddle. Let's find out what this is all about.
Illegal substitution. 13 men in the huddle, Toronto. That's a 10-yard penalty. We'll repeat, first down.
That'll do it. Now Dorsey was on the field. Did Dorsey run on and maybe Edwards not come out?
Yeah, you got to figure that this could happen to Toronto, which has gone through so many running backs throughout this season. If I'm a running back out of work right now, I'm going to go hang around the Argo practice. Sooner or later, you're going to get a call.
So it's 1st and 20. And here's Arlen Bruce on the hitch, and that's not going anywhere. Doug Brown from the nose tackle makes the stop.
I mentioned the second comeback for Robert Edwards because his first one devastated by that injury, and I know it's a story that's been told, but you know, he almost lost his leg and came back, played again in the NFL, and that was comeback number 1, and this may be comeback number 2 for him.
It's a very humbling experience to have an injury and come back for it, but it's even more humbling to know that a team doesn't want you, but somebody else does. You know, it makes you a little more hungrier, and Robert Edwards has the opportunity with the Toronto Argonauts.
2nd and 17, 5 receivers set. Butler backpedaling, sets up the screen. And here's Edwards. And he is brought down short of the first down. Cam Hall finishes him off. Well, we talked to brother Terrence yesterday about that devastating injury and an eerie foreshadowing that the family got that something was terribly wrong.
When he got hurt, it kind of tore the family up a little bit. My parents have a big poster in their house of Robert right in the living room. And they were just sitting there, and the poster fell off the wall. And they just sitting there, and never fell. And like 5-10 minutes later, they got the call. They're saying that Robert has hurt himself. And they left it on the floor with the mirror broke for maybe 2 years until Robert started playing. And when he started back playing or when he went back to New England, they put it back up because they knew that he was going to continue his career.
Well, much has been said about that terrible injury. Never heard that story before.
That is unreal. I mean, that is eerie. That's Twilight Zone kind of stuff. And for the parents to not fix it until Robert was fixed. And, you know, I think he's got a lot of football in him, Danny. I really believe that Robert Edwards is going to be hungry. He's going to learn this offense. And I think Jim Pop would agree with me in Montreal that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. Robert Edwards, it's nice for Toronto to just to go on the street and find a Eastern All-Star sitting around. You know, once you come to our backfield, and Robert Edwards is going to show that he can be a back in the CFL.
Bombers go to work. Kevin Glenn over the middle, and he's got Milt Stegall for a first down. Orlando Steinauer, the tackle.
Steinauer was in that gray area to go for the ball or to go for the hit. And because of the gray area, he hesitated just a split second and then just made the tackle, which was a safe play, but Steinauer more than not will take this ball. He steps up nicely. You'd see him just at the top of your screen, and then he just hesitated a second, and then he's there to make the tackle.
Just enough for Kevin to put that ball in. He waited for Stegall to come in back of the linebackers, find that hole, but like you said, Steinauer just hesitated, wasn't able to get there to make the play.
Best offense, yards wise against a stingy defense. Up top! Chuck Winters went up and knocked the ball away. Terrence Edwards looked like he was in behind the Argo defense.
Chuck Winters has fought his way into the starting lineup over the last few years. He's been played as a special team stalwart for years and years. He got a few starts over the last couple, but he's really solidified. This is 5th straight. And what a big play, because Steinauer had been pulled out of the middle. He didn't really have a lot of help.
No, Kevin Glenn did a great job moving Steinauer to the left and came back. And give Chuck Winters a lot of credit. You're out there on the island, 40, 50 yards downfield. You got to make the play or it's a touchdown. And he came up and made the play.
Winters displaced Khalil Carter in that starting secondary for the Argos. Here comes the rush, and they get it away, incomplete. Stegall couldn't hang on with Kenny Wheaton there. And Kevin Glenn took another jolt, and the fans looking for flags.
Well, they want it because remember the last time Kenny Wheaton and Stegall tangled, and it was a little bit of a grab. I didn't think it was much. Danny Mack thought it was a little bit more. But the fans thought there was a bit of a grab here as well. No safety in the middle. Stegall's trying to get there.
Nice timing by Kenny Wheaton.
Yeah.
Perfect timing on a defense for a defensive back. That ball gets there. You swipe your hands through. They knock that ball away from that receiver.
No penalty.
No penalty. That was clean. That was clean.
Last one, not so much.
Not so much.
Okay.
Piccola, high kick. And Dorsey with the return. Check that, Arlen Bruce! And Arlen Bruce caught from behind. Fred Reed with the tackle, but another big return by the Argos. Well, Kenny Wheaton with some tough defense, and then a 36-yard punt return by Arlen Bruce. So the second good punt return of this second half for the Argos.
The Toronto Argonauts have said that, you know, if they're going to win, they're going to win on defense and special teams. And special teams can create field position. So many changes, including the quarterback position. Remember, this is number 5 for Toronto in Rocky Butler. You know the offense is going to struggle a little bit. Arlen Bruce on the teams gives them some field position one more time.
That's nice for this offense. This is the second time where they were in this area. Need to come away with some more points. You're on the road. You're in a visiting park. The fans don't like you. This is where it comes back to need more points and field goals. They got to drive this ball downfield and get into the bluegrass and get touchdowns when you're on the road.
Last time they had the ball after a great punt return, it was a 2-and-out. They didn't get a yard, and in fact could not move it a few yards into Prefontaine range. Brian Crawford, the special teams demon for the Argos, shaken up on that last return. So here they are already in Prefontaine range at the 41-yard line. Let's see if they can do better than that. Bomber defense digs in. Butler's short drop. He's got Bruce. And Arlen Bruce has a first down.
You know, one of the guys that benefits more than anything from the return of Tony Miles is Arlen Bruce. Tony Miles lined up outside of Arlen Bruce here, and he's going to be the deep guy. That forces the DBs back a little bit and gives Arlen Bruce a little room underneath.
Arlen Bruce with a late touchdown last August, which turned out to be the game-winning points here in an 18-15 Argo win. And remember the Eastern semifinal with that huge Arlen Bruce touchdown that triggered the comeback. Argos trailed by 10 in the fourth quarter.
And that was over 70, wasn't it? That
77?
Yeah, and that was Michael Bishop's coming out party, basically.
Arlen Bruce is a playmaker. He's the guy that just get him the football and things are going to happen. Not only just an offense, but he set this whole thing up with the punt return. So he's a valuable aspect for their offense.
So Bruce does have a first down. The most dangerous weapon in that Argo arsenal, but unfortunately he has been nicked this year. Charlie Horse has kept him out of a game and really limited what he has been able to do. Fans urging the defense here at Canad Inns Stadium. Butler rolling and has Tony Miles. Miles with a first down and stopped by Nugent at the 17-yard line. Well, let's take a look at that big Bruce play from the Eastern semifinal that started the Argo comeback.
Doug Barry didn't want to talk about it. Michael Bishop comes on the field, and 2 quick throws later, one there to Arlen Bruce, who split that coverage and away he went. But another one from Bishop, and it was comeback time for the Argonauts.
R.J. Soward with the game-winning catch there. Now the Argos threatening here. And Edwards off the right side, trying to cut back, and nothing doing. Haywood hanging on, and Haywood's... Or check that, Gavin Walls with the tackle.
Simpson there as well.
There's a nice little cat and mouse game going on between the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator of Winnipeg. Steve Brado's bringing in 6 receivers. Greg Marshall's bringing in 7 defensive backs. He's switching up. These guys are kind of waiting to see who comes on the field, and they're trying to do a bunch of different little things to get an advantage, to get that ball into the end zone. They're mixing things up. Now they come into a 2 tight end set just to confuse Winnipeg's defense.
Second and nearly 10 again. Pressure. Butler sheds it into the end zone. Dropped. Tony Miles dropped it.
I think David Bush just distracted him enough.
Ball went through the hands of Bush and then in and out of the hands of Tony Miles on the final play of the third quarter. Third quarter stats are brought to you by Rona, the Canadian how-to people.
Well, there's some numbers on the board offensively, but when you look at the most important numbers in the stats, it's 10-9, which is indicating that the defenses are turning it up, and I don't have a problem with that at all.
Didn't think you'd have a problem with that, but this is Winnipeg's best quarter coming up, the fourth quarter in this season. Here's where Charles Roberts starts to get the ball a little bit more. Here's where Kevin Glenn starts to find his receivers. This is time where Winnipeg starts to put points on the board.
Yes, but a critical quarter for the Argos when you consider their record, trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. They could move within 3 points of Winnipeg, and then the battle's on for first place. 3 ways: Montreal, Winnipeg, and Toronto.
Oh, the Eastern Division is getting very tight, which is making everything exciting. Every play is very important. This fourth quarter, these last 15 minutes, very important for all these teams.
So we start the fourth quarter with Prefontaine looking at a 25-yard field goal attempt, and Prefontaine puts it through. So it is a 4-point Argo lead. 13-9 as we head down to the sidelines and rejoin Sean Churchill.
Thank you very much, Chris. Of course, Charles Roberts is chasing a 41-year-old record, Leo Lewis's record, franchise rushing record. He's just 73 yards away from reaching that Legends mark. Guys?
And most of Charles Roberts' yards are usually in the third quarter, fourth quarter, second half, and so it's not out of reach.
Well, it's not, because now he's inside of 100 yards. He's basically one play away. If he can rip one big one off, he's got a chance to get it tonight.
Here's Kevin Glenn rolling. There's Terrence Edwards with a catch. Terrence Edwards, who came into this game ranked 3rd in CFL receiving. But there's the man that the Argos will be focusing on here in the fourth quarter.
Charles Roberts, when he's just getting the football, he's just so durable, he's staying around. That's why he's making onto these records. Leo Lewis, outstanding running back. We hear the stories about what a great running back he was. During our time now, as a former player, Charles Roberts by far is the best running back that I've seen in the CFL in my years playing.
Roberts with one 100-yard game this year, 4 games that he has tallied over 90 yards. There's a quick hit.
Oh, baby!
That'll test the durability of Charles Roberts. Jordan Younger with the big hit, and Roberts just gets right back up.
Yeah, you just cannot keep Charles Roberts down or out of a game. This is a big hit from Jordan Younger off the edge. He's sitting back in his zone, and this is called a couple yards and a headache.
Comes up and makes a play, but here's the facet of Charles Roberts that people really don't talk about. They talk about his running skills. He's an outstanding receiver as well, and gives Kevin Glenn a lot of options when he comes out of the backfield.
You know, he's on pace for a 75-catch season, which would be a personal best. Now tries to get outside, and does, and gets close to the chain for a first down. Boy, there's a little Charles Roberts magic.
And it was a DB, Khalil Carter, who was trying to cut down the angle on Charles Roberts and looked like he had the angle. But this is the burst and the extra gear that Charles Roberts has. That was 1st and 2nd. He bounces into 4th. And then also there's 5th to the outside. He's got that 5th gear, and Khalil Carter had his angle outrun.
He does a good job with his upper body kind of leaning into where the defender's coming from. So the defender will just slide off, and he's able to get around that corner, pick up some extra yards.
Remember, 6 straight starts over 100 yards against the Argos, and 179 in that Eastern semi last year, 2nd and 1. And Roberts close to the first down.
And you know what? Stopping the run, guys, for the Argonaut defense has been a huge factor in whether or not they win or lose games. I mean, just look at those numbers. In the 5 losses, Rich Stubler's defense is giving up 127.4 yards per game along the ground. In the 2 wins, they cut that way down to 54. The difference between winning and losing has been stopping the run defensively.
And they are at 95 yards tonight, rushing yards allowed. And it will be 3rd down and a chain link to go.
I love this chess match, Danny. You mentioned it. You know, Rich Stubler, and you got, this is great CFL experience as they try and move the pawns, for lack of a better way. of saying it. They're not pawns. The players are not pawns. That's the wrong way to say it. But moving their men around to get the right situation.
Big boys will hunker down again. And Kevin Glenn will plunge ahead behind Dominic Picard, Matt Sheridan, Andrew Green. And that offensive line that's done such a good job of protecting the quarterback and opening up holes for Charles Roberts this season.
Just 9 sacks allowed.
That's very good. The offensive line is doing a great job with the pass protection. A lot of it goes to their coach, Bob Wiley. He's a real technician guy. Doesn't really get on the guys, yelling at them and stuff like that, but he's a real technique guy. All the linemen all wish they would have had him when they were in their rookie year. Just the way he focused his coaching is about technique and body position.
Bombers have moved it into Toronto territory at the Argo 52, and Kevin Glenn looking up top. Stegall can't bring it down.
Again, the Bomber fans, the sellout crowd, want a penalty. This time called on Jordan Younger. It looked to me live that the timing was pretty good. Nice move by Stegall to get inside position.
He gets downfield in a hurry. It looks like he's open, and all of a sudden, Younger comes by and just kind of takes his legs out.
Maybe a split second early. Maybe a split second, but we slowed it down, and it was that close from Jordan Younger, who was really not the guy covering Stegall, but helped his teammate out.
All CFL in 2005. Jordan Younger on the corner. Byron Parker's been hurt from tonight on the other corner. 2nd and 10. Kevin Glenn steps up, flag flies, and Glenn slides feet first, close to the first down, probably comes up a yard short, and we'll find out what this penalty's all about.
Jonathan Brown is calling holding.
And so is Glenn Johnson.
I don't think Jonathan Brown talked Glenn Johnson into the holding, but often the defensive player who's calling it is the guy who was held.
Now the Argos trying to decide what they should do, and I'm surprised they automatically don't take the penalty. It would be 3rd and a yard.
Holding, Winnipeg number 53. It's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
So Jonathan Brown saw Dominic Picard hold his teammate Adriano Belli.
They've been going at it all night.
There they are right there. There's Belli and Picard. He's in the center against that nose tackle. And watch this. Inside move by Belli, and he gets tackled from behind.
Nice hand sweep by Belli. He's got the quick hands, gets Dominic Picard's hands off him, gets by him. Dominic has only one thing to do, and that's go ahead and tackle him. And from a quarterback standpoint, that's a good hold. We don't want to take all those hits like that.
2nd and 20, and again up top, looking for Armstrong, and overthrows the intended receiver.
Adriano Belli with the good hands you talked about and those quick hands, and that's not easy for a man who's upwards of pushing 300 pounds. Now in the program it says 290, but over there at Mariposa Meats and that he works at and owns in Toronto, doing all that chopping of the meat and working on it. He actually trains, like, remember the Rocky movies on the big side of beef?
Yeah.
He'll actually do that. And he says, by the way, when you punch one of those sides of beef, you cannot break a rib like they showed in the movie.
Bakula kicks it away. There's Dorsey with the catch, draws the flag, and Dominic Dorsey broke a tackle up the sidelines to the 50-yard line. The Argos continue good production on punt returns. Well, 13-9, Argos with the lead, 10:31 to go, 4th quarter. Mike Clemens said prior to the game that the Argos can win if Rocky Butler continues to improve. Would you call this an improved Rocky Butler tonight?
Oh, he's definitely improving. He's doing a great job of managing the football game, taking the shots that are there, making it happen, just doing a great job, not making mistakes.
Well, the double tight end to give to Robert Edwards straight ahead, and Edwards brought down by Jenkins.
You know, that's the kind of play calling I think we're going to see for Rocky Butler, is to try and get him in 2nd and medium, because I agree 100% with you, Danny, in that if Rocky Butler continues to manage and the Argos can continue to win the field position advantage war here, they can punt the football away and throw their defense out there. And as long as their defense holds, they win the football game.
Absolutely.
5 for Edwards, 2nd and 5. And He's got Arlen Bruce there, who wanted to put a move on Sam Young, but he'll be content after losing a shoe to move the chains.
He blew a tire.
And they're giving just simple routes for Rocky Butler to throw. Arlen Bruce on a speed out. We saw it earlier in the game. Gets enough yards for the first down. Nice, clean throw. Nobody in front of Rocky Butler. He's able to get the ball out there. Borderline conservative play calling, but it's effective play calling. Like Glenn was saying, you want to win the field position battle now in the fourth quarter. Only way you lose that is by some type of turnover.
Well, he's only been in camp 4 weeks. Does he have any choice but being borderline conservative? Here's Dorsey bouncing off first contact, maybe an extra yard before Gavin Walls takes him down.
Yeah, and the other thing about that short passing game, we saw that last throw to Arlen Bruce on the quick out with the changes in the Winnipeg secondary. You know, the Bombers in the secondary do not have an interception in 7 games and now 3 quarters, and Kyrie Seber with one, but he was a linebacker at the time. Now, that means that Rocky Butler can feel more confident with that quick out game and throwing that ball to the sideline.
Brad wants to stop at 2nd and 7. The Bomber 46 heats on. Butler throws downfield, jump ball. Incomplete. Obed Satut, the intended receiver. 3 Bombers were around him, and the heat was on Rocky Butler.
Heat coming from Barron Simpson, who is quietly putting together another great football game. Barron Simpson, number 51, he cuts right through the middle of your screen, and he's going to put all the pressure on Butler.
Great job by Coach Marshall mixing up the coverages. And how do you get Rocky Butler to make a mistake? Put pressure on him, get him out of his comfort zone, make him do something he doesn't want to do, and try to force the issue to get that turnover. Rocky pretty smart there, getting the ball high and out of bounds. Let his punter come on and try to pin Winnipeg back in their own zone.
Argos have been winning the field position battle in this second half, and now Prefontaine will try to pin Winnipeg deep. Albert Johnson would like to tilt the field the other way, but he's not going to get a chance. Prefontaine bounces it out at the Bomber 11. 2 weeks ago, a fourth quarter comeback by the Bombers in BC. Can Kevin Glenn engineer another one tonight? Looking for O'Neal Wilson and overthrowing him, looking for a big play. Doug Berry tracks big plays, 15-yard runs, 20-yard passing plays. Says a good team will average 5 a game. His team's averaging 6 so far. They're the big play men for the Bombers this year. And obviously, Winnipeg to this point has had more big plays than the Argos. However, only 3 so far tonight, which might explain why they trail by 4.
And that's what they need to flop field position. If they can't get the big play on defense, they're going to have to make the big play on offense to get that field position back.
See if Terrence Edwards is the man he looks to. A pump in trouble and throws complete. There's a guy whose middle name, big play, Milt Stegall. Not a 20-yarder, but a huge first down for the Bombers.
There's Milt Stegall right there. The inside receiver is Jordan Younger out there on the corner, and Kenny Wheaton try to get the jam on him, and Steagall's just going to work himself open in the zone.
Kevin being very patient in the pocket, wanted to throw it right away. Somebody was there. He slid a little bit, slid with Milt Stegall, found the open area. Big play to keep that ball in their hands.
1st and 10. Play fake to Roberts, and a completion over the middle. And once again, Milt Stegall has a catch.
And why not go to Milt Stegall? Because coming into this game, when you look at the top 4 receivers all time in the history of the CFL, if Kevin Glenn needs a big play, go to Milt Stegall, because the top 4 receivers are right there in this graphic. And look at their average per catch. Milt Stegall right there is the leader of that top 4. And remember, he still holds the record in the CFL for having the best season when it comes to yards per catch. So Milt Stegall maybe is your guy if Kevin Glenn needs that big play.
The Stegall Network on the Stegall night. Charles Roberts ahead for a few, and then drilled back. Well, they named a street after him today. Milt Stegall Drive. There was the Milt Stegall Drive for the record-breaking touchdown few weeks ago in late July. Will we get another Milt Stegall drive here for a go-ahead touchdown?
And Kevin Glenn knows that Milt Stegall's his meal ticket. He's the guy to go to. He opens up so many areas in that Toronto secondary, not only for himself, but for the other receivers as well. And if guys start keying on Milt Stegall, that's going to open up Armstrong. That's going to open up Edwards, and Kevin Glenn knows that. And
attention, Alan Pitts. Milt Stegall's 720 yards behind you now for the all-time receiving lead. There are flags. Yeah. Steinauer with contact on R.J. Franklin. And about 30,000 referees made that call in a hurry.
And it'll be called pass interference, I believe, because the football was in the air, although it was coincidental contact by Orlando Steinauer. It didn't even look like he saw Franklin come in there and he just bumped into him, but it was while the ball was in the air.
Pass interference, Toronto number 21. First down.
We had it earlier where Steinauer kind of was a little hesitant on the Milt Stegall crossing pattern. Didn't get there in time. This time he kind of anticipated a little bit earlier, but almost too early. Got there, made the contact with the receiver. Referee's going to throw that every time.
Bombers again following the form chart, slow in the third quarter, heating up in the fourth, and there is Milt Stegall. Willie Pyle brings him down, but it's another big play for Milt Stegall.
The legend continues to grow for Milt Stegall, as we have yet another Milt Stegall type drive.
Nice toss by Kevin Glenn, just over the outstretched hands of Kevin Iben. Drop it in there to Milt Stegall.
52nd career 100-yard night, 24 on the catch. And a first down, and Adriano Belli out of the blocks too quickly. He's trying to get this one charged to Picard as that little rivalry continues. Picard's saying it's going the other way.
Offside, Toronto number 78. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
And right now the demeanor of the Toronto Argonauts after that penalty just went right down to the gutter. They all have their hands on their waists. They're all kind of head down. This drive right now has really brought the whole emotion of the Toronto Argonauts right down into the toilet store.
1st and 5 from the 22. Charles Roberts straight ahead into the awaiting arms of,
you know, it's completely a game.
Adriano Belli,
what's the matter? It's completely a game of momentum.
Is there really a store that just sells toilets?
That was from my favorite movie. Yeah, one of my favorite comedies.
Great.
You remember Anchorman, right?
Yes.
Okay. But it is a game of momentum, and this drive is just taking the wind out of the sails. You know, the Argonauts were managing the game nicely. They had the field position advantage, and now it's been taken away.
2nd down and 2. Back to Roberts, and Kenny Wheaton can't bring him down. And Roberts to the 17, close to a first down. Kenny Wheaton had the stop, and as he has done so many times, Roberts made a miss.
But one thing what he did, he made Charles Roberts go back inside. He kept contained, made sure Charles Roberts didn't use his speed to get around the outside. He made Charles go back into where the rest of the Toronto Argonaut defenders are. And Kenny Wheaton just held on and waited for a company to come out and help him out. And that's what you have to do with Charles Roberts. You try to contain him. Not many times you're going to have one-on-one tackling of Charles Roberts. You're going to have somebody else come by and help you out.
But Danny, in the biggest play of the game perhaps for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers right now, they would be kicking a field goal if not for that guy right there.
Absolutely.
That was an individual effort from a man who stands 5'6", and that's what he does. Because that was a huge loss, and they'd be putting the field goal on the team on the field right now. Roberts is giving them another chance for that major.
Well, they're a chain link short. It's 3rd down, and Doug Barry has a lot of faith in Kevin Glenn quarterback sneak. Well, wait a minute, we've got a flag.
Wow.
And did they have too many men in the huddle? Or is this a time count? Let's find out.
Procedure. Winnipeg, number 53. He moved the ball forward prior to the play. It's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat, third down.
So Belly had been working that, and he got the call at the most critical time.
And this is the first game Dominic Picard has had a nose guard over the top of him. In a 3-4 defense, Adriano Belli is right over him every play. In a 4-3 defense, he has nobody over the top of him. He's able to move around. But somebody like Adriano Belli is working him the full 60 minutes, and it paid off in the last 3 minutes to get a penalty.
Huge penalty, forces, instead of a 3rd and inches quarterback sneak, Rob Pakula has to come on. It's been a tough night. He has missed from 27, now from 29 to get Winnipeg within 1. And Pakula splits the uprights. It's a 1-point game of the 3-minute warning given to the benches here at Canad Inns Stadium. Well, it's going to be a very interesting final. 2:47. The Argos opt to accept the kickoff, which is interesting. Often you'll take the 35, but we've seen some good returns tonight.
And the Argos wanted to win on defense and special teams, or thought that's the way they might.
Let's see how this decision works out. Bashar Livingston will be stopped short of the 35, just down to the 32. Tonight's game story brought to you by Sport Check, your Under Armour headquarters.
Charles Roberts has 100 yards on the night. Maybe needed some more. Kevin Glenn is right around his pace.
Rocky Butler doing a great job for Toronto managing the game. Robert Edwards getting a few touches, getting some of those yards that they really need on first down.
They need him right now.
Absolutely.
Let's see how he manages this crowd and this revved up Winnipeg defense. Play action and a ball dropped in the hands of Daryl Mitchell, who does not have a catch in this game. Let's see why Winnipeg had to settle for 3 on that last series.
Yeah, it's a big play in the game. Dominic Picard had moved the football forward, and I know fans want to take a look. Well, just take a look at here. You can rotate the ball as a center. That was the rotation. That's okay. But this little movement forward, remember, the Bombers only needed inches. That movement forward, that cost him the penalty in the field goal. Now let's see how it all ends up.
They had moved it 82 yards on the drive before that penalty. Settle for 3. Now 2nd and 10 in loud Canad Inns Stadium. And a pass complete for a first down as Rocky Butler hooks up with Tony Miles.
How big is that from Rocky Butler to be able to complete that throw, calm under pressure with the crowd going off the hook?
That's a big throw because he actually moves Kyrie Saint-Bear just a little to the inside so he can get that ball outside to Tony Miles. Nice eyes by Rocky Butler.
And I love the composure for him to stand in there, crowd going nuts, step in and throw a strike.
15 for Tony Miles and a first down. Dorsey straight ahead, and there's nothing there.
Yeah, there was one thing there. It was Barron Simpson.
He seems to be everywhere.
Yeah, and Barron Simpson in his last 3 games coming into this one tonight, 23 tackles, 25 hits, 2 sacks, 1 interception, and he's all over the place again tonight.
Number 1 tackler in the Canadian Football League, came in with 54. Greg Marshall said he's just an old school run stopper.
It's a big down.
2nd and 8. Crowd telling you how big this play is. Rocky rolls, throws, and nearly picked off. Sam Young got a hand on it. And the Argos will have to kick it away.
Well, Rocky Butler's going to use full roll to his right, try and get outside and get into the corner here, but the problem with that is it eliminates a few receivers on the backside. Sam Young flew over there with the roll and got his hand on it.
Also what it does, it stops the clock. This is double benefit for Winnipeg. Stops the clock, and they're getting the ball back. Plenty of time left on the clock to move it downfield and get in scoring range.
Danny, the one thing that surprised me tonight, Rocky Butler, who beat the Bombers back in Labor Day 2002, 3 touchdowns, running the ball, he hasn't taken off. That used to be his best asset.
Absolutely. That throws in a different aspect for their offense, and we just haven't seen that tonight from Rocky Butler.
Prefontaine with the high kick. Albert Johnson, 16-yard line. Straight ahead to the 20. And Michael O'Shea, one of the first men downfield. 99 seconds on the clock. Kevin Glenn to work. And a pass incomplete. Intended for Milt Stegall. We remind you it's a 1-point game, and late in the first half, there was a decision to give up a safety or kick away and risk a field goal.
Yeah, there was a big decision, especially up here in the booth. Me and you kind of went with kick it, let your defense come on the field.
Not kind of, that's exactly what we went with.
And I went with give up the safety and 2 points because you're given automatic field position, and that 1 point looms large right now. Now Kevin Glenn has the ball and a chance. We'll see.
To get us off the hook. 2nd and 10. Glenn, and he has a connection with Armstrong.
But it sets up
to a first down.
Sorry, Chris, the perfect finish, doesn't it? I mean, one of the most prolific offenses in the game so far this season, with Kevin Glenn at the controls against the best pass defense so far this season in the game in the Toronto Argonauts, with 1:31 on the clock and a point separating these two teams.
And huge implications. The Bombers can leave the Argos 7 points behind, but this could be a turning point in the Argos season should they snap a 4-game losing streak. Big first down measurement, and it is a Winnipeg first down.
Best against the best to decide the outcome.
This is great. This is what won in the last minute and a half, is to have the 2 best teams at what they do very well is the passing game. One throws it well, one defends it well. Outstanding setup right here.
At the 32. 1st and 10, Kevin Glenn. And he's got a completion. And a big move, Milt Stegall. The one-handed shake and bake.
Oh, come on. How good is that? That baby was sick. That move in the open field was just sick by Milt Stegall.
Nice crafty move by Milt Stegall. Throwing out the dead leg there. Unsure which way he's going to go. Throws the ball out as well.
Oh, baby.
Nice move by a veteran.
Left Khalil Carter grasping for air. The 8th catch, 132 yards. Kind of thought that was intended for Charles Roberts, but it was Stegall's football all the way. 21 for Stegall, flag down. O'Neal Wilson a catch. Another flag. As O'Neal Wilson wrestled down at the Argo 50-yard line.
First one, I believe Stegall was offside for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on the short side of the field. It looked like he got up there a little too close. That reaction sort of verifies that thought. I'm not sure about the second flag.
And maybe they were the same. The one in the backfield. Let's find out. Kevin Glenn didn't like the call. 64 seconds on the clock.
Offside, Winnipeg, number 85. Major foul, roughing the passer, drawing number 35. The net 10 yards, first down.
They've let it go a little bit tonight, but not now.
Finally called it about minutes ago. Kevin taking the shot. He took a shot from Kevin Iben. And the referee was right there to get the call.
But that's a huge penalty because Stegall being offside would have put the Bombers in a bind and out of field goal range. That nets out to benefit the Bombers.
Remember, Troy Westwood not available, out with a hamstring injury. He has a longer leg than Rob Pakula, whose range might be about 47, 48. Won't matter. Milt Stegall has got him a lot closer than that.
He's money when they need him the most, and they're going to take Charles Roberts out of the backfield, and he becomes another receiver, and against the zone, that just helps Stegall find a hole.
Milt Stegall wraps right around the linebackers and finds that open spot, and Kevin throws a strike.
And here, just previous, this was the hit that put them in that position from Kevin Ivan. Questionable, but that was the penalty.
19 on that last pickup, and now Charles Roberts to go to work at the 25-yard line. Rob Pakula will be the man on the spot. He won it 2 weeks ago in BC. First ever game-winning field goal in the CFL from 33 out. 1 for 2 tonight.
You know, and it brings up the question as to whether or not Doug Barry decides to kick the field goal on second down. I know that they'd like to take more time off the clock and not give the Argos any time with the football. But if you go on second down to kick the field goal and you botch the snap, at this range, you can try it again if your holder just recovers it. Now, I know a lot of coaches would like to take as much time off the clock and just finish the game with the last play of the game.
And Toronto's trying to stop that by using a timeout here to make Winnipeg make a decision how they're going to approach this 2nd and 6 situation. Are they going to go out and they're going to throw the ball, or they're going to run it to keep the clock going, and like you said, have a kick come right at the very end of the game?
Boy, a throw would be risky now, wouldn't it?
It would be very risky, yeah.
2nd and 8. The ball at the 26. Roberts right side. Broke a tackle and stumbles for valuable yardage down to the 20. He's short of the first down, but he gets Pakula
I love
a little closer.
I love the pat on the back. Watch right here from Kevin Glenn as he gives the ball to Charles Roberts. Watch what he's going to do. He's going to give the ball to him and go get him, buddy. Little pat on the back with the left hand, says, hey, you do it all the time. I'm giving the rock to you. You go ahead and get it done. And Roberts almost gets the first down on his own, but he's taking a ton of pressure off Pakula.
And isn't this how the Bombers beat you? They got Charles Roberts over 100 yards. They've got Milt Stegall lighting it up again, 9 catches. By the way, Milt Stegall has taken the league lead in receiving. The old guy at 37 still got plenty of football left. And I know that message from the Winnipeg fans was transmitted to his wife and mom.
1 more year. Milt Stegall, he's amazing at what he does.
Now
keeps himself in top condition. He does a lot of things to make sure when he gets on that game field, he's giving his very best. And that's what we talked about before, and Matt Dunnigan talked about what a pure athlete Milt Stegall is.
And he's been money down the stretch, and you know what? He is over his pace to catch Alan Pitts this year. Another big game from Milt Stegall, and he's given his team a chance, him and Kevin Glenn. Let's not take anything away from what Kevin Glenn has done to march this football down the field.
Well, it's the offense Doug Barry engineered. They've got them into field goal range, and all Rob Pakula has to do is finish it off. From 28 yards out, Corey Jenkins, the former quarterback, now linebacker, puts it down. Pakula puts it up, and the Bombers have the lead with 8 seconds left. Had been a long night, but Rob Pakula can savor this now.
A bad night can all go away on one play. And it just did for Pakula. This team just won't go away. They keep battling.
When you see a team that keeps coming up with big fourth quarters, you know there's something special.
They're a very confident team. They don't get worried about it. They don't kind of freak out and say, oh, what's going to happen next? They understand that there's a lot of plays in a ball game. You got to put yourself in position to get points on the board.
Okay, quarterback, what's your play call here? Argos have 7 seconds left. Just
send them all downfield, throw it up, and hope you get a prayer answered. You got your speed guys out there.
Looking for a penalty maybe as much as anything. Rocky Butler getting ready to air it out. Looking for Bashar Livingston. The ball knocked down. Time expired, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are 5-2-1. And the Toronto Argonauts, a tough night, have lost 5 consecutive games. Well, it's time now for the Friday Night Gladiator, and it's brought to you by Castrol. More than just oil, it's liquid engineering.
Well, I always like to mention the honorable mentions before we get to it. Byron Parker had a very good game. Jonathan Brown, a good game, you know, but over the last 3 or 4, the consistency of Barron Simpson, and once again, when the team needed him most, Barron Simpson just shut the door. So Barron Simpson's our guy.
Great selection, especially a guy like that. You know he's always around the football, knows for the ball. He's going to be in that pit area where not many people like to go, but Barron Simpson runs that whole area. Make sure he gets in to make the tackle.
And Barron will receive a Movado Series 800 watch as tonight's Gladiator. Movado, the art of performance.
Barron Simpson and the Bombers, I salute you.
So Winnipeg enhances its lead in the CFL East, and the Argos continue to lose.